The real Madeleine McCann, please stand up. After 16 years, we have several contestants now who claim that they may be little Maddie all grown up. First, we had Julia. And Julia had some support among the online community. And she has a lot of support from her representative slash therapist slash medium psychic, Fia Jonathan. But she had a lot of doubters as well. Among those doubters was the authorities and seemingly the McCann family. Kate and Jerry McCann initially stated that they would do a DNA test if Julia's family did one, and it was ruled out that Julia was their biological child. But since Julia's family has not agreed to do a DNA test, or at least has stated that they will only do a court-ordered DNA test and not one done in a lab of Julia's choice, there remains no conclusive evidence one way or the other. And the McCanns have not come forward and said, okay, you know what, since they are not doing one, let's just go ahead and get this done. In fact, the McCanns allegedly have stated that they accept the ruling of the police that Maddy is deceased. That's odd to me because if there are no remains found, we can't say without a doubt that this child is deceased. So you would think that the parents would grasp onto any sliver of hope. Maybe through the years, they've had so many, false hopes that they just don't want to put themselves in that position again. It's still just a little odd to me. But now we have another Maddy lookalike. This situation's a little different though, because this girl, who is known on social media as Maddy Hannibal of Germany, never claimed to be Maddy. In fact, it was people on social media that started to say to her, you look like you could be Madeleine McCann. She also has the same rare eye deformity, a coloboma, with only a 1 in 10,000 chance of having this rare eye defect. It's mind-boggling to me that Julia has it and little Maddy had it. Now this Maddy has it, but her story is even stranger, or her alleged story. So as she was making regular TikToks, she would get on there and sing, she would do whatever. She had, pictures on social media of her little son. People started to say, you look like you could be Madeleine McCann. Like, what's your story? The girl allegedly is adopted, but here's the even wilder part. She claims that at 3 years old, she was found by a body of water in France severely injured. She was sent to the hospital, and from there, after she recovered, she was sent to a children's home, and she was adopted a year later by a French family. And after a couple of years, they all moved to Germany, where she now lives with her adoptive family. I'm not sure how the name Maddy came about. I'm not sure if she told them that that was her name or if that's the name that they gave her. I would imagine 3 years old, you would know your name. But nonetheless, if that story is true, that is insane. So at the same time, because this girl is 19 years old, the same age that little Maddy would be, So at the same time that you're 3 years old and you're found in France injured, nobody can locate your family. Nobody knows who you are, or who your family is. And the whole entire world is looking for a 3-year-old that's been abducted. I can't wrap my mind around how it was never investigated or suspected that she could be Maddie. I don't know. I don't know. And sadly, I was not able to search online and find any information if this was true. If there was a little girl that was found in France, I couldn't find it. I could only find like mostly stuff from the USA and a couple of vague overseas stories, but none that matched that. Now on Reddit, a bunch of people did ask people that lived, over there if there was any way they could look it up. And I haven't seen anybody come forward yet and say that they found anything. But here's the thing. When people started saying this to this Maddy Hannibal girl, she, I guess, started to give it a little thought. She ended up reaching out to Operation Grange. Operation Grange was the task force set up in 2011, I believe, specifically to go over the Madeleine McCann case again. And that is their whole focus, is the Madeleine McCann case. So this girl allegedly reached out to them. So a bunch of people on TikTok, after hearing about this, also reached out to Operation Grange. And allegedly, if you reach out to them, you are told they are very aware of this girl and they are investigating it. Well, that would be a very different response than Julia got when she came forward. So it does make you pause for a moment. If Operation Grange is at least willing to investigate this story and they really just kind of blew off and washed their hands of Julia, it makes you wonder if there could be any truth to her story. So we're going to have to stay tuned. Sadly, there's not a lot of pictures because unlike Julia, who was very public and very vocal, as soon as people became aware of this story with Maddy Hannibal, she pretty much deleted all of her social media. She, like a couple of days ago, did put up another TikTok, a new one, but she only has like 4 or 5 videos where she kind of dances and sings and, does the stuff that young people do, but she has her face blocked out in every single one of them. But she took down all of her social media that had all of her regular pictures of her and her son, who's about 18 months old. That's a different response than Julia, right? So this Maddy said that because of all of the bullying and hate towards Julia, she did not want to come forward. So she kind of dismantled all of her social media, and there's not a lot of pictures out there, but there are some because, of course, when the situation first started coming out, some people did screen record or screenshot or do whatever. Unfortunately, most of her pictures are highly edited, so it's hard to know exactly what she really looks like. And, that's just social media nowadays. It's very hard to see anybody's photos not edited, but especially young people. So we don't have much to go by. We have some drawings that she did of herself. I don't know. Now, her hair does seem to be lighter than Madeleine McCann's when she was younger. But honestly, when you look through all Madeleine McCann's pictures, she never looks like the same person in any of them. Ever. She literally does not look like the same child ever in any 2 pictures. It's wild. So in some pictures, she did seem to have really light hair. And then in other pictures, she seemed to have more like a golden blonde hair as opposed to platinum. And this girl seems to have a really, really light color hair. So tell me what you think about that case. It's wild. And, as to why all of a sudden there's all of these Maddies, I will say this. We don't know how many other sightings there has been over the 16 years. It's just kind of like this with everything. The minute like a big story hits, usually you're inundated with a whole bunch of similar ones. I remember when I lived up north years ago, there was like, I don't know why I just laughed. This is so inappropriate to laugh about this, but like a kid fell out a window, like a third story window. He was fine. All of a sudden, like every single day on the news, there was kids like plopping out the windows until it was like all you ever heard about was like safety for your windows and different gadgets that you could put on your windows so kids couldn't open them and like all of this other stuff. Is the same thing like 2 summers ago with leaving your kids in a hot car here in Florida. It would be like there'd be one case that would make the news, and then like every day there'd be like 4 kids left in a car all over the news. So either I don't know. Either like something happens and then I don't know, like the universe is just like, well, you made a big deal out of it, so here you go, here's a bunch more. Or these things happen all the time anyway, but we just don't really hear about it until one story is kind of a big deal, and then like, every newscast, every reporter, everybody is pushing out their own story of it or similar to it. So I almost wonder about that. Now, here is the update with Julia. So I'm almost thinking that Maddie is off the table for now. I mean, that hasn't really been said, but I don't know that she's still pursuing that. She might be. Right now, she seems to have flown to the United States, and nobody really knows why. But she did land in the United States at some point yesterday. I'm not sure what that's about, but she was very happy in her videos at the airport, saying it was like the best day of her life, and she was thanking this Fia for making her dreams come true. So I don't know what her dreams are. I don't know what she's so happy about. I'm happy she's happy, but like I'm very curious as to what's going on. And Fia has kind of put out some bites, just kind of like saying, "Oh, stay tuned," and like, announcements to come. So I don't know what that could be all about. But some online sleuths decided that they didn't necessarily think that Julia was Maddie, but that they did think she was, in fact, probably a missing child grown up. And one person that is being speculated upon quite heavily is a little girl by the name of Livia Shepp. Now, she went missing in 2011 when she was 6 years old, along with her twin sister, Alicia. It was a custody situation. The parents were separated, and mom had the children the majority of the time, and dad would take them on the weekends. And mom apparently left him because he was like a control freak, but said that she had no reservations about him being with the kids. Like he was good with the kids and he had a good relationship with them. So this one weekend in January, he comes and he takes the girls for a visit, but they don't return. And in fact, he ended up crossing the border from Switzerland, where the girls lived, to France. And the girls were seen on a ferry at one point over that weekend, and it was confirmed that the girls were alive and well on this ferry. But at some point, he took them to the island of Corsica, if I'm saying that correctly, off of Italy. And what's interesting in this part of the story is, if you remember, Julia said that she had memories of this vacation spot and big white buildings and playing with turtles in a beachy area, a vacation type area. And that was pretty much the only memories that she had of her childhood. So we all thought, of course, that it was, or that she was alluding to it being the resort where the McCann stayed. But if you look at the island of Corsica, there are tons of vacation properties there, including beaches where apparently turtles just roam around freely. And the turtles are even kind of promoted in one article that I was reading as something that, you could come there to see. I thought that was interesting. But when the father, whose name was Matthias, left and went back to the mainland of Italy, the girls were not with him. And he sent a series of letters to the mom and also enclosed like $4,000. In the letters, he ended up saying ultimately that he had killed the girls, that they were not in pain and they were at peace. He then killed himself. And this was all by February 1st. He killed himself by throwing himself under a train. No sign of the girls has ever been found. There has been, of course, some sightings, some speculation that he had talked to a woman with dark hair and a pink tracksuit for like an extended period of time. Somebody else came forward who said that they used to make fake passports for a living and that they made passports for a woman and two little children who matched the description of Livia and Alicia. But of course, that is not confirmed. The remains of the children have certainly never been found. So now a bunch of online sleuths have started to say that they believe that Julia looks like, in her younger photos, what Livia looked like, or may look today like what Livia may look like now. And also, the age somewhat fits. Livia and Alicia would have been 18, just about 19 this year, at some point this year. And, you know, if Julia says that she's 21 or that she's told that she's 21, that's not a big difference. I mean, what you're going to look like at, 18, 19, or even 20, 21 is not a big difference. And a lot of people actually say that Julia looks younger than 21 and certainly seems to act a little younger than 21. So it wouldn't be shocking if maybe she is younger than 21. So tell me what you think about all of this. Do you think that Julia is just Julia? Do you think that Julia may be a missing child all grown up, but just not Madeleine? And what do you think about Maddy Hannibal? Do you think that there's any credibility to this story? I just don't understand how there wouldn't have been like a massive investigation. I mean, maybe there was. I don't know. And I don't live in France. So who knows how much coverage it did get back then. I don't know. But, the parents adopted her from a children's home. So maybe they're just not even aware of how significant her story seems to be when you think about the Madeleine Mccann case. I don't know. Tell me your thoughts on all of it. It's all getting wild. There's so much happening right now with this whole Madeleine Mccann thing. I would love to think that we stand a chance of finding Maddy all grown up. I mean, how amazing would that be? Look, they've never found remains. So even if the police say that, as far as they're concerned, she is deceased, we don't know that. We don't know that. You cannot say 1,000% because we've never found anything to give us, any concrete answers on that. And their suspect, that guy Christian there in jail, he still denies having anything to do with it anyway. So he's never really been charged. And I did read recently that the McCanns were kind of upset when they were given the blow that charge may not happen this year. So, I mean, what's the holdup? If you're so sure that he is the person that did something to Maddy, why isn't he being charged? I mean, he's already in prison for something else anyway, but tell me your thoughts on all of it, and I will see you soon, okay?